The folks over at Penelope have added a brand new bourbon to their everyday lineup here as we open up 2025, this Penelope Wheated Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's gotten a lot of attention, a lot of hype, and it's been flying off the shelves. But is this wheater really worth picking up? Well, today we're about to find out. Hey friends, my name is Brandon Spinner, the Whiskey Weatherman, and you have stormed yourself into the Whiskey Weather YouTube channel, and here I have one motto. It is always whiskey weather. Whether you're a bourbon newbie or a seasoned sipper, you find yourself in the right spot. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button below, as I've got big plans here in 2025 and I want you along for the ride. Speaking of the ride, we've got this brand new wheated bourbon, but before we jump into the review, I want to know, what is your favorite wheated whiskey or wheated bourbon? If I had to pick my favorite as of late, it's probably the Ben Holiday Rickhouse Proof, the soft red wheat Rickhouse Proof. Drop your favorite in the comment section below and let's jump right into it. And I'm not going to do a whole lot of introduction of this. Penelope Distillery, they are based out of MGP Distillery. They get all their whiskey there. This is a 4-grain whiskey, 74% corn, 16% wheat, 7% rye, and 3% malted barley. One thing about this new release is it's relatively affordable. Not a whole lot of whiskeys lately have been being put out under the $50 MSRP point. This comes in on their website right at $40. I got it at a store by me, the local store called The Party Source, for $37. So not a bad price, especially with a lot of those elevated whiskeys, and one of their better offerings from last year, which I reviewed up there in the top right, which is really good and you might want to check out. However, this is very affordable. Another thing, it's at a pretty decent proof point, 95 proof, which is not going to blow you away. So if you are a bourbon newbie, this is not too bad. It's got an age range of 4 to 6 years. So it's technically a 4-year-old bourbon, but they have a blend of 4 to 6-year-old bourbons within the makeup. If you're new to the channel, I rate all of my bourbons and whiskeys on the same rating scale, and that's called the lightning counter. It's a 10-point rating scale with 5 different values. We go over the nose, the flavor, the mouthfeel, the finish, and ultimately the value. Those all combine to 10 points, and at the end of the day, we see what the score is. This is the first review of 2025, so it's going to be the first and best of the year so far. Right off the bat on the nose, definitely get the earthy tones. Get a hint of honey. Caramel is very strong on this. It's a lighter nose. To me, it definitely sways towards that younger MGP. Again, this is a 4-grain. It's not necessarily high in any of the grains except the corn at 74%. The nose is pleasant. I give it a 1 point. I'm gonna go with a 1.3. Not overly amazing. There's some depth there for 95 proof. It doesn't have a whole lot of punch, but there's a lot of flavor. Yeah, not bad. First thing that I noticed is it's kind of thin on the mouthfeel. It's got some depth to it. For 95 proof, there is a little bit of heat, but not overpowering. The mouthfeel, as I mentioned, a little thin. That's probably the least favorite part of this. We'll go with a 1.2 on the mouthfeel. I did that out of order, but 1.3, 1.2. As far as the flavors off of this, the nose and the palate match in the sense that I get a younger flavor out of this, but it's not a bad younger flavor. Sometimes when someone says something's young, it's kind of a, well, this sucks. That's not the case here. I just think that it could use a little extra aging. I think that when it comes to wheated bourbons, once you start to get past that 6 to 7 year mark, that's when you really start to fully get all the flavors. So slightly young, that would be my one little, I guess, criticism of it. Second sip's got a lot more caramel buttered popcorn. Some of that corn comes through. Also a little bit of that pepper from that rye. Only 7% rye, I think, in the mash bill. It's not overpowering, but you get a little bit of that. Some apple out of it. A little bit of lemon. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, it's lemon. Like a lemongrass, if that makes sense. Flavor's pretty good, 1.4. So 1.3, 1.4, 1.2. The finish itself, yeah, finish itself's not overpowering. Doesn't have a ton of cinnamon. And for those of you who have been with the channel for a while, you know that I like cinnamon, but you don't necessarily love it on the finish when that's what's overpowering. I do get a little bit more of the char from the oak on that, and there is a little bit more of the cinnamon on it, but overall not too bad. And then that rye pepper spice comes through. Overall, it is a soft feel, which you generally get from some wheated bourbons. As for the mouthfeel, as I mentioned, it's thin. Probably the least favorite of the two. The finish is right there, kind of. I go with a 1.2 as well. So 1.3, 1.4, 1.2, 1.2. We're sitting at a 5.1 so far when it comes to the rating scale. And then now we get to the value. So the value out of this for a $40 bottle, when not a whole lot of bourbons lately have been released at that price point, I'd say the value's there. If you are new to the whiskey game, I think if you see this for anywhere under $40, it's definitely a must buy. If you are a big bourbon fan, you've been around the block a few times, I still think that you will enjoy this. This is not going to be your favorite pour, but at $40, I think you could do worse. I'm going to go with a 1.7 when it comes to the rating scale for the value. So I believe that gives it a total score of 6.8, which is good and almost to the very good category on my rating scale. Is it the best bourbon of the year? No, but it is very solid, and for $40, like I mentioned, you could do worse. And speaking of worse, well, not necessarily worse, how does it stack up against some of the other wheaters out there? I'm just gonna put it next to Weller because this is the one that a lot of people seem to really go after. Weller Special Reserve, to me, it's nothing special. This is like $26.99 in Ohio. I'd say the nose on the Weller's actually a little bit better, personally. Well, a little more grape. If you want more of a darker nose, you're gonna get that from the Penelope. If you want more of like a sweet grape, you're gonna get that from the Weller. Going back to back, I'd say the Penelope has a better finish. The flavor has a little more charred oak to it. This is a little sweeter. Is it better than this? Slightly. I don't think it's amazing comparative to the Weller, but if you had to pick one of the two, price points, this is about $10 cheaper. In some spots, this is an allocated bottle. This shouldn't be allocated. It's supposed to be an everyday shelfer. I know a lot of people are scooping it up trying to flip it. I wouldn't pay anything more than $50 for this bottle personally. I wouldn't pay anything more than $35 for this bottle. So I will go with the Penelope, not by much. I do think it's slightly better than Weller Special Reserve. So all in all, 6.8 on a rating scale, pretty good so far here as we're off into the start of 2025. If you did enjoy this video, got a little bit of value out of it, don't forget to smash that like button. But the best way to support this channel without sending me your money would be to just send this video to one of your bourbon loving buddies, just to spread the whiskey weather nation out there across the bourbon tube and the whiskey tube. I do have a bunch of amazing supporters from my Patreon and YouTube membership program, which you can join through the links below if you do want to become a member. They get first access to barrel picks, they get a bunch of special perks, and for as little as $3 a month, you can get your name right there on the end of the video. But all those tiers have different levels and different values to them that get you more value for your money. So if that is something you're interested in, comment below has the link. Also, you can check out the description below as well. Do have one quick announcement. Amazing barrel pick opportunity coming up in the next week. I got a chance to pick a Buckner's 15-year, yes, the first whiskey tuber to get a Buckner's 15-year pick. They're very limited, so look out for that here on the channel here within the next couple of weeks. I do want to thank you again for giving me your time. As I said, I have one motto. It is always whiskey weather. Please remember to drink responsibly. Again, if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button below. And you're probably going to like a few more of my bourbon reviews up there in the top right. We'll see you in that next video. Cheers, y'all.